Alright guys, welcome to this page of the notes. Hopefully what you've had is a chance to work ahead a little bit. Now you're coming back to check your answers. So let's see if you get what I get. Again, I've got this situation where I'm trying to evaluate this guy given this polynomial, and I recognize that I have a plus sign in there. So I'm going to go ahead and split it up because it's just going to make my job a little bit easier rather than doing it all together. Just split them up, find each of those pieces on their own, and then we can go ahead and combine them at the end. So I want to find g of 5a minus 2. The domain value is 5a minus 2. So I'm going to plug that domain value in everywhere I have a variable. So I am now going to have a 5a minus 2 squared minus 5 times 5a minus 2 plus 8. Guys, this is going to require you to FOIL. This will require you to distribute the minus 5. And when you do all of that FOILing, all of that distributing, and combine your like terms, you should wind up with 25a squared minus 45a plus 22. Right, that's going to be the result of FOILing this, distributing the negative 5, and combining like terms. Then we go to this one, where I do my 3g to a. If it helps, go ahead and put those brackets in there, right? What they're asking you to do is evaluate the polynomial g, right? There it is, g. I want you to evaluate the polynomial g. The domain value is 2a. So I'm going to plug a 2a in everywhere I have a variable. But once I've got that result, I then need to multiply it by 3. All right, let's go ahead and set this up again using those brackets to help me do it. 3, but that's going to be multiplied by, and now I evaluate my polynomial at the domain value. So it's going to be a 2a squared minus 5 times 2a plus 8. Again, hopefully these brackets kind of help you see what's going on here. You're evaluating the polynomial at this domain value. That's what I've done right here. And then they ask you to multiply that whole thing by a 3. Those brackets can be very, very helpful. I don't have to write the brackets, so I probably won't give them to you. But guys, please feel free to use the brackets if it helps you see this picture a little more clearly. And again, this one's not that tricky because this is one of our properties of exponents. This is not a binomial, right? That 2 and a are multiplied together, which means I just square everybody inside the parentheses. So anyway, I go ahead and square everybody inside the parentheses, distribute the negative 5, combine like terms, multiply my 3 through those brackets, and what you should wind up with as your result is 12a squared minus 30a plus 24. All right, so now I've got my two pieces. I just need to put them together, and it's a plus sign, so I don't need to worry about parentheses. There's nothing to distribute. We're just going to throw all this stuff together. I'm going to have, actually, let me write this, though. So, yeah. Rewrite my problem. Remember the way that we did this? This part was in green. This part was in red. So here we go. Here's my green part. 25a squared minus 45a plus 22. And then this is my red part plus 12a squared minus 30a plus 24. All right, awesome. There we go. Got my two pieces. I don't have to worry about parentheses because I don't need to distribute a minus sign. Go ahead and combine your like terms, and you should get a final answer of 37a squared minus 75a plus 46. Again, not a numerical value, but that's okay. You're actually evaluating an algebraic expression for that polynomial you were originally given. Again, this is your polynomial. and this is what they're asking you to evaluate. I got one more for you here on this page of notes. Let's hop over to this one, and it does have a decimal in it, but again, it should look very, very similar. Here's the domain value they want you to evaluate the polynomial at, and then I have something very similar going on over here. They want you to plug in a domain value of d, so I just plug in, actually here, let me show you. Again, I didn't give you the brackets, but guys, use them. Throw those brackets in there, and hopefully what you can quickly see, okay, I'm going to evaluate the polynomial at the domain value of d. So I just plug a d in everywhere I have an x, then I multiply that whole thing by 0.5. Careful, this one does have a minus sign in it, so you will need to distribute that minus sign. Let's go ahead and break this up. Green, red, and here we go. In green, I'm going to have h of, oh, sorry, hold up. I apologize, it might be difficult to see in because I've rewritten this. That is a -4. -4 d plus 3 means that I'm going to have 2 times a -4 d plus 3 squared. I'm going to have to FOIL that. I'll have to distribute that 5. No big deal. Go ahead and FOIL this guy out. Don't lose your parentheses, though. In fact, actually, let me write this one for you because I want you to see. So that 2 is still there, but I'm going to go ahead and FOIL this guy, which means I'm going to keep my parentheses so that the result of FOILing is inside of here, which would be 16d squared minus 24d plus 9. There's the result of the FOILing, but I'll need to distribute that 2 through there. The rest of it comes out to be a minus 20d and a plus 18. All right, I distribute that 2 through there. Combine like terms, you wind up with 32d squared. Again, I distribute the 2 through the parentheses, combined all my like terms. 32d squared minus 68d plus 36. Okay, that takes care of that first part. Now let's go ahead and knock out this second part. I'm going to have 0.5 multiplied by h. I want to evaluate that at d again. I added the brackets because it helps me see that a little bit better, so I know I'm going to multiply a 0.5. I'm going to multiply that 0.5 by this polynomial, right, the polynomial h, but evaluated the domain value of d. So I'm going to plug a d in everywhere I have an x. So 2d squared plus 5d plus 3. All right, go ahead and distribute that 0.5 through there, and what you should wind up with is d squared plus 5 halves d. Ooh, fractions. Okay, all right. It's Algebra 2 honors. We got this. All right. Now that I've got my first part and my second part, we'll go ahead and redo this guy. Don't forget your parentheses so that you remember to distribute. So it's going to be 32d squared minus 68d plus 36 minus d squared plus 5 halves d plus 3 halves. Distribute the minus sign, 32d squared minus 68d. I distribute that minus sign, so now it's a negative d squared, a negative 5 halves d, and a negative 3 halves. Combine your like terms. Again, don't fat finger something on your calculator. You should come out with 62d squared minus 141d plus 69. All right, there we go. All right, guys, that takes care of evaluating a polynomial, that first objective or learning target. Again, you'll be evaluating for both numerical values and for algebraic expressions, which are tricky. All right, they're long. They're not difficult, right? We're not asking you to do any really complicated algebra. It's FOILing, distributive property, combining like terms. But because you're putting all that together in the same problem, they can get kind of complicated. Go slow, take your time, watch your signs, Please be very, very careful. It's easy to make simple mistakes. But what we're going to do is, if you head on over to the next page of the notes, we'll begin to look at graphing polynomials, that second objective. So I'll meet you guys there.